change that. What's this guy's name?
I don't know about your life.
Am I? Okay, we're live. Hold on a second. Okay, so let me get rid of this. So, what are we discussing today? Let me go to my
Brave
library.
New.
Brave New World by Aldous Huxley. Okay, so I chose this book because I don't know, something classic, something might be timely. I don't know. Um, I don't even know where to start. All right, so these are the books like we read when we were in high school.
I've never read this one, but yes, I know that
I
it's
I
definitely
don't
one. Yep.
recall reading this one in high school either, but I was in AP English, so probably maybe I blanked it out. I don't know, but I read many dystopian novels in high school, most of
Right.
which I enjoyed. Okay, um, I don't know if there is a difference between reading something dystopian when you're 17 or 16 and then reading it when you're 60.
I think there is, right?
I
A
think,
lot of life lessons, and you start to compare, right?
yeah,
Like certain things that would have been futuristic and just a theory or just an idea of what it could be, and then to see where we're at now.
okay. So, just a brief synopsis of the book. All right. The book was supposed to be set in the future and what is supposed to be the perfect life. Okay. Um,
When was it written?
oh, probably like in the 20s.
Yeah, I think it was 32 or something. Let me double check.
Okay. So, written at a time where they had different moralities and stuff. But we'll get into that later. The the premise is that there's a world where everybody is just happy in what they're doing. All right, through genetic engineering and subliminal thoughts while they're young.
Hmm.
Okay, so there's basically five groups of people: alphas, deltas, gammas, betas, and epsilons. And they all have different degrees of intelligence that are genetically there, so that their position in life, they're not going to look more than that in their position in life. Okay. And they're kept happy basically through drugs, drugs and all
Yes.
the sex you could have.
Yes.
All right. So I guess at that point, that was the two things that would make people happy is just being useful, sex, and when you weren't feeling happy, and which turns out to be quite often, that's when the drugs came in.
Hmm.
All right. So it was encouraged and so my problem was with the book. All right. I had a hard time getting through the book.
Me too.
All right. Whether or not I can say whether that was a good thing or a bad thing, I'm not even 100% certain on it. I had a hard time getting through the book. I struggled a lot of times to make the time to actually read the book. And I think it's because there's a lot of it hits home more now than it did when I was 17, 16, when life is still just, um, sunshine and whatever, rainbows and bunnies and
Hmm.
things. Okay. The flip side also is that there were people who are not genetically engineered, um, weren't kept drugged all the time, but those were called savages. So they lived on reservations. They were specifically talking about um, Native American, and the way it's portrayed in the book, I had a little bit of a problem with, because if you left certain groups alone, they were fine.
Hmm.
Okay. So whether or not that was written in the 30s, that was sort of like the mentality of the times. I'm probably, but now that we're 2025, the book's almost 100 years old.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I didn't even think about that. Yeah. It was written in 32.
So almost 100-year-old book. So times have changed, yada yada yada, but whatever. But I think I don't think he had a good vision of people in general. Because left on their own, they're poor, diseased, and whatever.
Mm.
And
Hmm.
then genetically engineered, they were still not really all that happy either, even though they were all happy.
Right.
So, plus I did Audible. And the guy who read it, I think, was perfect for the book because he was really pompous and condescending.
Mm.
Which
I have to
also,
say, so for reading, it was definitely broken up. You could tell it was a 100-year-old book, right?
yeah,
It didn't flow on the reading aspect, which made it hard for me to keep up, but it's also not my genre that I typically would read, right?
right.
So out of my normal, but I always like to read stuff like that and like compare it to the real world now. Like,
Yes,
where does this, because it didn't go into like how far into the future or anything, but obviously it was this futuristic. I don't think it
yes.
actually said, right?
I don't think so too, but they had, I mean, by today's standards, I mean, they had helicopters, whoopee, you
Right.
know, but in the 30s, that might have been in the future.
Hmm. Yeah. So I definitely had a hard time getting through it just because of the way it was written. And like I said, just written however it was, 100 years ago. So a little bit trickier for me to follow. But yeah, it's very interesting to really see, like you had said, like how he classified people who weren't genetically engineered,
Yeah,
right? Like that it was poor, left to their own vices, they were going to live in poverty, and savages, right? And then you add in, what I found the most interesting of the genetically engineered people is purposely putting them into groups, and but they were quite happy in those groups, right? They didn't, like you said, they didn't want to expand out of that.
yeah,
So like that was very, all of the detail put into the genetically engineered people were, it was pristine, right? Like this does this and they're happy doing that. They don't want for anything else. That's all that their mind's wired to do.
right. So, and then one of the savages is brought to the unsavage world and uh, no real way to like help him adjust between the two worlds. He was more of an oddity. All right. So, left to his own devices, where he was sort of shunned in the savage world because his mother got left there by accident on a on a, I don't even know what they were called. I guess it's like a tourist thing, like if we go on like on African safaris and stuff like that. And so she was like left behind, and then she ended up living with the savages. And I'm using the word because that's how they are described in the book, um,
Mm-hmm.
where he was alienated there because he wasn't really one of them. And then he comes into this other world, and he's an oddity, and sort of like the traveling circus, where it's the boy with six legs and whatever.
Right.
So it's, and his sort of breakdown, which I don't think in reality that's exactly how it would have gone.
No, probably not. I wouldn't have thought so. But he
No.
most certainly was his own demise as well.
Yes.
Hmm.
So I can't honestly. And then if you do the parallels between like today, 2025, and this book, okay, um, there's a lot of, especially with the alpha group. I mean, a lot of condescension towards the other group, a lot of entitlements towards the other groups, and then you're going down the line, and each of them looks basically down on the group underneath them.
Hmm.
All right. So it's definitely not a book to read for fun because
No,
I didn't have fun reading it.
definitely an English, definitely an English book, right? Something that you
Yeah,
had to read all.
definitely something for AP English, and I'm not even sure AP English these days would even consider that book, but
Right.
it was in our day. Okay,
Hmm.
those of us who are from the 19th century, 1900s. But anyway, so it's not a book I would like just kind of pick up and read. And I was kind of bummed because I was on my way home from the Arizona show. I figured I still had like 4 hours left to read, to listen to in the book. Okay. And I'm
Oh, was
thinking,
it that long? I forgot. Yeah.
no, the book was like 7.5 hours to listen to. So I
Okay.
still had 4 hours left. Okay. And I was telling you how much I was slogging through the book. And so I'm leaving on what day did we leave? What day did we leave Arizona?
The second? Second.
Yeah,
No,
Monday.
third. Somewhere in there. Monday.
It was Monday. And then that was last Monday. And I had to read it, finish it before today because, and I'm the one who suggested the book. So as
I
many
beat
times,
you. I really wasn't the last one this time. I'm impressed with myself.
yeah. So I read the book and I was meant to, because I figured I'd read it on the flight home and then on the car ride home and I'd be done with it. But then I closed the trunk on my phone. I couldn't listen
Oh, that's
to,
right. Yeah. How did you break your phone?
oh my God. So it was so much nonsense with the flights going on. I'm keeping an eye, I have my phone open while I'm loading up the car onto the Delta app so I could just in case, right? And
Mhm.
then I got, I mean, the suitcases were heavy and I have to heft them in there. And I just moved the phone just a little bit out of sight. And then boom, closed the trunk on it. And there went my idea that I was actually going to do this, finish it up on the plane and the car ride home because the next book club, we're all choosing something that's humorous. And I figured, we can't end up the year on this one
Right.
because honestly, it was depressing. and
It
I
was.
and I don't, and it's not like I'm not going to suggest we do like old books again, but I don't think I'm going to say, hey, let's do another dystopian one.
I I was sad when I started to see the parallels of like even technology today
Yeah.
and how it was sort of accurate. Like
Yeah.
and that was, I think any of those books when you know that they were written as like a almost like a fantasy, right? Like this is just what they have in their mind. And when they can become, when they start to become true, or you can see the truth in it.
Yeah.
And that was, those are always, I think, hard pills to swallow, is when you can really see that.
Yeah. And I think part of the reason I was slogging through the book is because with the people, it was, you could see so many similarities between those people. And I think I'm not even gonna say a large group, what a segment of our current population would really like this to be the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
And that's probably the most depressing part of the book.
Yeah. And
Um,
that as much as it showed that there was this happiness and freedom, there was no free will.
there was no freedom and no real happiness because the minute the population is encouraged, the drug was called Soma, and they were encouraged because that was they can go on vacation with it. And what they did is they would lay in their bed and go on vacation for whatever hours. And if you were in a bad mood or you weren't happy, you take we'll take extra if you have
Hmm.
to. And so keeping yourself in that state of mind and then not and you could see some of the characters in there, particularly which one? Henry, not Henry. Oh my God, which one was it?
Uh, oh, the main character?
Yeah,
Is that who you're going for? Crap, I can't remember his name.
yeah.
Bernard.
Thank you, Bernard.
Bernard.
Who, in his unhappiness, okay, was really turning into a mean guy.
Hmm.
Okay, and decisions that were made. And he just wasn't a nice person,
Right.
you know. Um, and even the female, Leandra, Lenora.
Yeah.
Okay, she was like really shallow
Hmm.
and not necessarily a nice person either. Um, so I think there's like this shallowness and meanness that's the undercurrent of these people because you know what? They're not happy. They think they have freedom, but they have zero freedom.
Right.
So anyway, I'm not actually recommending the book.
I'm not either. I mean, I think if you want to sort of, I have to say, what intrigues me is to know that it's almost 100 years old and to see what they thought the future would have been, right?
Right.
Like writing about the future. And I think that part was about the only thing that intrigued me was like, oh, this is what they could see as being futuristic and things that could happen and all those things. And I know it's a fantasy, but like, you know that there was still that thought process.
Right.
So I wouldn't recommend it because it's not my genre, but like if you were intrigued to see or you've never done dystopian, then, maybe it's not a bad thing to, broaden your horizons, but that'd be about the only
I don't know.
way.
I think there's other dystopian novels, which again, you know what, I read in high school, and so my perception of them might be a whole
Right.
lot different from that perspective to now.
Right.
I might read Lord of the Flies again and see if I still feel the same way about it.
I've never read that one.
No, but I looking back in high school, I enjoyed Lord of the Flies, Grapes of Wrath, um, In
Oh, Grapes
Cold
of Wrath,
Blood.
yes.
I
Hmm.
In Cold Blood, all of them, I remember really enjoying them. But, I might have to pick them up and see if I still feel the same way how many years later from high school I am.
I think I read In Cold Blood. I think I really liked that one. I would probably reread that one to see if that held up.
Well, an upcoming one is going to be on crime, murders,
Hmm.
serial
Okay.
killers in particular. So
Gotcha.
that'll be next year sometime. Next week we're going to lighten the mood a little bit, and we're going to do something humorous. So we're each again no this one we're going to pick three books, three authors that we found funny. And that'll be December 7th. That'll be the last one of the year. And then come January, going forward, we are looking to do this twice a month. So, any suggestions that you might have for books, let us know so
Yes.
we can incorporate it or a topic because there are going to be some times where we're all going to read the same book and have our perspective on it, and other times we're going to pick a topic and pick a book we like.
Hmm.
Hopefully we like not this one. So anyway, book closed for Brave New World, and no, I am not going to pick it back up and try to read it again. It just took me forever to get through that book. And the only reason I
Hmm.
did is because I was the one who suggested it.
Because you had to.
I had no choice. I mean, I could have heard any of you and Sacheen was unable to be here today, but saying, "Hey, you know what? I tried. I gave up," and I would be like, "I get you. I get it. My fault. We'll try it works next time."
I kept going because I didn't want to give up on it, only because you never know. You never know what the end's going to be or how it's going to turn or any of that. So I'm like, I'll just keep on trucking.
I think it could have had a better ending.
Yes, it could have.
Okay. But supposedly he left it open ended, and I don't know where anything open ended was about it because he left it off right in the middle of of something
Hmm.
unresolved in either direction. So
Right.
not a fun read.
No. But at least you tried, huh, Mary?
Yeah. We'll do better next time. All right. So we'll see everybody on this on December 7th.
Yes.
And then we'll break for the holidays.
Sounds